Hi there, this is Mr. Tipton, and we are continuing to look at combining integers. Last time we looked at integers that only had one sign on the left of each number that we were combining. Today we'll be looking at some expressions that have two signs on the left of some of the numbers that we need to combine. For your upcoming quiz, the thing that you need to be able to say that you can do is to rewrite a subtraction problem as an addition problem by using the additive inverse. Okay, I actually teach this a little bit differently than most teachers, but if you know how to do what I am going to teach you in this video, you'll be fine to take care of that section of your quiz. Alright, let's look at a problem such as -5, that's a negative sign by the way, let me fix that real quick. Sorry, -5 plus -2. Okay, the thing I don't like about this problem is that there are two signs in a row. Now, the -2 is in parentheses. It's just to keep the plus and the minus signs separate. Okay, so people with bad handwriting like myself don't end up writing something like this. Okay, we don't want that. Let's get rid of that. 5 plus -2. I don't like that there are two signs. I'm going to rewrite it in OSC form, one sign combined. Alright, adding a negative is the same thing. This is the same thing as subtracting. -5 minus 2. Alright, these two expressions are equivalent. Think about it. Think about this in terms of temperature. If positive numbers are warm and negative numbers are cold, if you add cold to something, that's what's going on right here. If you add cold to something, it's getting colder. The temperature is going down. We'd be moving left along a number line. Okay? That's why these are the same. Whatever you're starting with, fine. But if you add cold, you're getting colder. When we have an expression written in OSC form, we can use our rules for combining integers. We have two with the same sign. We have 5 negatives and we have 2 negatives, which means we have 7 negatives. We add and keep the sign because they're both negative. Alright, this is crucial. Write this down. I'll even put it in red. Adding a negative. Adding a negative, like in the problem that we just did. Adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. Adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. Okay? If we have the expression 8 plus -5. Again, we are adding a negative here. I don't like that there are two signs in a row. We've got plus and minus. We are going to rewrite this problem as 8 minus 5. Adding a negative, same thing as subtracting. Let me circle that again. Adding a negative, same thing as subtracting. And of course we know 8 minus 5 is 3. But if we were using our combining rules, we have a +8 and a -5. The signs are different, so we subtract to get 3. And the 8 is a stronger number than the 5, so it stays positive. Alright, -13 plus -12. Again, two signs in a row here. We don't like that. Adding a negative. No bueno. Alright, we're going to rewrite that as -13 minus 12. Our signs are the same. We've got 13 negatives and 12 negatives. So we add and keep the sign. We have 25 negatives. Alright, let's look at some more. That's when we were adding negatives. Now let's look at what happens when we subtract negatives. Let's start with negative 12 minus negative 9. Again, I'm writing this using parentheses so my signs aren't running into each other. It just helps me stay organized. But I don't like two signs in a row. I'm going to rewrite it. Subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding. Okay? Subtracting a negative, same thing as adding. If we go back to the temperature analogy, if you take away cold, subtracting a negative, taking away cold, it gets warmer. If you take away cold, something gets warmer. All right? Here we use our rules. Different signs means subtract, and the stronger number is negative. All right? So if adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting, on this screen we have subtracting a negative is the same thing as subtracting a negative, same thing as adding. And a few more examples. 15 minus negative 8. Again, we're starting with a positive 15, but that doesn't really matter. We know the 15 is positive. It's these two signs in a row before the 8 that's the problem. We're going to rewrite subtracting a negative as adding. 15 plus 8 is 23. Another example. Negative 25 minus negative 4. Again, we're going to rewrite as negative 25. Sorry. Let's try that again. Negative 25 plus 4. Subtracting a negative, same thing as adding. Subtracting a negative, same thing as adding. Negative 25 combined with negative 4, the signs are different, so we subtract, and the stronger number is negative. Let's look at a couple of multi-step expressions. Let's start with 3 plus negative 9 minus negative 6. I'm going to make the suggestion that you rewrite the whole problem first. All right? Instead of going through, one small problem at a time as you work through this left to right, I'm going to rewrite everything in OSC form, one sign combined form, first. All right? Here's what I mean. We've got our 3, and then we have plus negative 9. We know that adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. And then here we have subtracting a negative, which is the same thing as adding. So I haven't done any combining yet. All I've done is rewritten my expression in OSC form. I think it's easier. Now I'm ready to combine. 3 minus 9 is going to be a negative 6. And then negative 6 plus 6, well, that comes out to be 0. Let's look at one more. Negative 8 minus 11 plus negative 17. Again, I'm going to choose to rewrite first. I don't like when there are two signs in a row. Negative 8's okay, negative 11's okay, but adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. Alright, now I just have 3 negative numbers to combine. 8 negatives and 11 negatives is 19 negatives. And then 19 negatives and 17 negatives is 36 negatives. Okay, that is OSC form, one sign combined form. This will also help us be able to represent negative problems, represent subtraction problems as an addition problem using the additive inverse. Again, that's how a lot of other teachers teach it. I think this is easier. Make sure your notes are done, and we'll see you soon.